Well, the vast open ocean strikes fear, I think, in people sometimes. And I stare into an empty abyss like it's dark, you know, always, no matter where I look.
There you go. Right. Left runner.
So my name is Stephen Christopher Baskus. I'm here on a Sail to Win event. I think I'm one of the first participants in the sense of someone with a disability. I'm completely blind because of a combat injury sustained in 2008 on the ground in Baghdad, Iraq.
The origins of Sail to Win, as far as I'm concerned, started with Ike had originally gotten a hold of Whitney Curtin about 1.5 years ago.
Ike reached out kind of explaining his vision for the nonprofit and what Sail to Win would be.
After I got home from the Middle East in the year 2021, I called up Steve with this idea of let's compete in the transatlantic. Let's be the first blind team with a blind sailor to compete in the transatlantic. And he said, hey, that's a great idea.
You know, when Ike, my buddy Aaron Isaacson, asked me, would I be interested in this? Because, you know, we met through climbing on mountains and adventuring with veterans, service members. He called me up and asked me, would you like to sail? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It's always been on my bucket list to maybe, before I die, sail around the world on a boat. And he mentioned this idea of sailing the Atlantic, crossing the Atlantic, and this race. Crossing the ocean is just also something is interesting to me because that's what humanity has accomplished over the years, you know, hundreds, thousands of years. And I want to understand what that feels like, what those moments, those experiences are.
You know what makes Steve great for this endeavor is that everything he's gone through, he just keeps pushing forward.
He can really switch on, so to speak. Steve has this ability, like, he can sort of cancel out a lot of what's going on around him and focus on one thing. He's very good at that. He's a very focused individual. When it's time for him to drive and time for him to pay attention, he's pouring everything he has into that moment.
My life really has just been a trajectory of opportunity that, because of friends and being open and positive.
Back in 3, 2, 1. Back in.
You know, when you're sailing a boat, typically you're looking at a series of display screens that are relaying you a ton of information that you're using to optimize your performance, whether that be true wind angle, apparent wind angle, heel angle, you know.
So as we were going through the problem set of getting a blind person to steer a sailboat, we initially started with audio, like yelling out commands, which, as a lot of people that sail know, that just doesn't work.
I originally realized pretty early on that anytime Steve was driving the boat, we were constant communication, constantly talking to him. Every time we're making a maneuver, going around a mark, there was another noise level on the boat that it became difficult for me when I'm in charge of the entire program and what's going on the boat to focus on everything at once with all this talking and discussion going on.
So we started to think, what about other senses? And we thought about, skin senses, what feeling, and so that came up, haptics came up. kind of like on your cell phone when you turn the ringer off and you're holding it and you receive a phone call and it starts vibrating. We thought, what if we had a watch sensor that could assist?
One is a headset that just, a Bluetooth headset. This particular one is using bone conduction, and it was probably identified because I was sharing information about how I need to not obstruct my ability to hear, because that is the way I see the world. So a bone conduction style headset frees your ear canal so that you can hear. So that is relaying information to me, as well as a watch that has capability of communicating with satellites and devices that will provide navigation. And so the two devices in tandem work by giving me information that allows me to discern how I should turn or steer the boat and whether or not I am on course. So in a nutshell, if I feel a certain tap sequence on my watch, I know that I must turn the boat in for a specific degree angle to the left or right.
So we thought, you know, if we could develop a way that can really get information to Steve, maybe it has implications beyond Steve. Maybe it could be used for anybody. If you can constantly get an information source quietly and without taking up other instrument space on screens, it could aid Steve, people like Steve, or frankly anybody.
Fear is always there in my mind, fear of the unknown. I mean, that is the vast ocean. I think a lot of people, I speak to people all the time. I tell some of my veteran counterparts I'm doing this, and they're absolutely afraid of the ocean.
Safety in offshore sailing is paramount, regardless of anything, really.
You know, there's a lot of other things that can kill you or hurt you on the boat, but also just the water.
When things do go awry, typically you want people who are prepared and calm and kind of slow down in that moment rather than agitate and start to panic.
What I loved is that the ocean is kind of a dark, mysterious place, and there's that element of constant, I don't know how to put it, but it's like a beast that can't be tamed in a way. And so being able to race across the Atlantic, for example, is somehow interacting with that beast as like there's something there that's pretty exciting for me.
So I think going on the transatlantic race will give me just more experience in a domain that I am not very experienced in.
Well, I'd love to see Sail to Win grow. It is growing. It's, you know, we're still very much in the early stages, but our hope is to get involved with some big ocean races, get a bigger boat, keep this thing really rolling along.
You know, being inclusive is a big part of our program, and we initially started with wounded veterans as the focus, but we started to broaden that into first responders, anybody that's served their community or their country that has been injured in one way or another. And injuries can be physical and mental as well.
Yeah, those moments that we get really connecting with nature and moving along in the perfect environment, they come in sailing. I don't know any other way to get it, and I think that's a big part about what we bring. It's just connecting with the environment around you and being as present as you can, and I just would love to share that.
When I think of Sail to Win, I think of being appreciative of being a part of the organization and the people that I get to work with on and off the water.
When it comes to the Sail to Win Foundation, in the back of my mind, and I know Steve feels the same about this, but we've both lost a lot of friends while serving overseas, and it's kind of our duty to live our lives to the fullest in honor of them. And this foundation is a great part of that because we're allowed to reach out to people from all walks of life and include them into the sport of sailing.
People like Mike, Ike and Whitney, and all the people that are involved with the journey I'm on now, the training I am taking on the Intrepid. I'm just happy that people believe in an ideal like this, or believe in someone that is normally considered disabled. And so I think that's just teamwork, and that's really a great thing. That's what I guess I would say to conclude things. I love the people that I get to work with because we can do great things.